I love thee with a love I seem to lose with my lost saints. I love thee with the breath, smiles, tears of all my life, and if God choose, I shall but love thee better after death. Alfred Lord Tennyson, 1809–1892, In Memoriam, A. H. The sun is a little lower in the sky than it was the last time I looked up. It must be late afternoon, maybe around 5 o'clock. I'm standing at attention along the wall, in the middle of the long line of guards, with the others waiting for the king to arrive. He has been at his home in the country all summer, but now he has returned. We are here to meet his carriage and escort him to the palace. The day is warm, but the light breeze keeps me cool. I look at the other guards along the wall. Each of us stands straight and tall, waiting. My eyes roam over the beautiful uniforms. We each wear a dark blue tunic with gold buttons, matching pants, and tall black boots. Over our shoulders, we have a blue cape attached at the shoulder and a red collar with gold braiding. The royal colors. There is a row of guards standing in front of the palace and another row behind the one I'm standing in. They are all looking straight ahead, waiting. I look up when I hear a commotion from the street. The king has arrived. A carriage comes around the corner, drawn by 6 white horses. There are 2 guards riding on the front seat. The footman and coachman, also dressed in their formal uniforms, ride on the back. The carriage is drawn by the finest horses, and is a deep navy color, trimmed with gold. Behind the carriage are more guards on horseback, also in uniform. The carriage stops before the steps leading up to the palace, and the footmen jump down. They open the door to the carriage and the king steps out. As I watch, I notice that the king has a young man with him, wearing a dark suit. I am puzzled by the young man. The king's children are not allowed to be seen by anyone in public. They are always kept safely behind the walls of the palace. They have servants, tutors, and other family members. But they are never seen by the public. They have no friends or social lives, except the friends and social activities of the king and queen. They do not have their own lives. They live only for the service of the kingdom. They are the property of the kingdom. Their lives belong to the kingdom, as do the lives of their children, and their children's children, forever. The footman offers his hand, and the king steps down from the carriage. He walks up the stairs, followed by the young man. He pauses in front of the palace doors and turns. He is an impressive man, tall, with a full head of thick silver hair, and a matching beard and mustache. He is handsome, and I know he is well aware of that. He is a vain man. He stands there, waiting, looking out over the guards. I see him nod his head and then, he speaks. The kingdom has need of many good men. I am honored to serve you, and to be your king. I look forward to continuing my reign, with the blessing of God, and the help of you, my loyal subjects. My son and heir, Prince Alexander, will be serving with you soon. I ask you, will you serve him as you have served me? Will you be willing to lay down your lives for him, as I am sure many of you have done for me? We stand straight and proud. We have sworn our loyalty to him. The guards, myself included, have laid our lives on the line for him. We have served him faithfully. We have done our duty, and we are proud of it. I hear him continue. Thank you, my loyal subjects, for your service to me and to the kingdom. I am proud of each of you, and I know that you will serve my son as you have served me. You are dismissed. He turns and walks through the doors of the palace. The young man, who I assume is his son, follows him. The guards disperse and begin walking towards the barracks. As I walk along with the others, I am thinking about what the king has said. Will the prince be able to fill his father's shoes? Will he be able to handle the responsibilities of the kingdom? Will he be a good king? As I approach the barracks, I stop and turn to face the palace. It is a huge, ornate structure, made of white marble and gold trim. The towers rise high into the sky, and the gold spires at the top glisten in the sunlight. The windows are huge and arched. The lawn is immaculately groomed, and the gardens are beautifully landscaped. It is truly a sight to behold. I stand and stare at it for a few moments, taking in the beauty of it. Then I turn and walk towards the barracks. When I enter the barracks, I go to my room. It is small and sparsely furnished, with a single bed, a desk, a chair, and a wardrobe. I remove my uniform and hang it up. I take a quick shower and put on my casual clothes. I leave the barracks and walk towards the palace. I have been assigned to the palace guard. As I reach the front gate, the guard opens the door for me. Thank you, sir. You're welcome, the guard says, and nods his head. I walk into the courtyard and make my way to the back entrance of the palace. When I enter the door, a maid greets me. Good afternoon, sir. May I help you? I'm here to see the prince. I'm sorry, sir. The prince is not available. Please tell him that I have come to serve him. Yes, sir. The maid leaves, and I wait. After a few minutes, the maid returns. The prince is not available, she repeats. Please tell him that I wish to serve him. Yes, sir, she replies. After a few minutes, the maid returns. Sir, the prince is not available. I have a special assignment from the king. I need to speak with him. I'm sorry, sir. I can't help you. Please tell him that I have been ordered by the king to serve him. He will understand. I will tell him, sir, she replies. As the days go by, I become impatient. I want to serve the prince. I want to show him that I can be a loyal subject. I want him to know that I will do whatever he asks. I want to show him that he can count on me. After a few days, the maid returns. The prince will see you now. I follow the maid through the palace and into the prince's private quarters. I see him sitting in his chair, reading a book. He is a handsome young man, with wavy blonde hair and deep blue eyes. His features are delicate, and his skin is fair. He is wearing a blue velvet robe, and his feet are bare. Sir, I have been ordered by the king to serve you. He has requested that I do whatever you ask of me, and that I do not question your orders. Thank you, the prince replies. I will let you know if I have any orders for you. Thank you, sir, I reply, and bow. You are dismissed, the prince says. I bow again, and leave the room. As the days pass, I am sent on various errands. I run messages to the prince, pick up his dry cleaning, and fetch him snacks. I do his laundry, clean his room, and make his bed. I do everything for him, and he barely notices me. I am a servant, a slave, doing his bidding. And yet, I have never felt so alive. I know that the prince is watching me. I feel his eyes on me when I am in his presence. I can feel his desire for me. I know that he is attracted to me. One day, I am sent to the prince's chambers to retrieve a book. As I enter the room, the prince is standing near the window, staring out at the view. Sir, I say, bowing. I have been sent to fetch the book you requested. The prince turns to face me. He is wearing a white linen shirt, open at the collar, and tight leather pants. His feet are bare, and his hair is tousled. Thank you, he replies, holding out his hand. I walk towards him and hand him the book. As I do, our hands touch, and I feel a spark of electricity pass between us. The prince looks into my eyes, and I see a flash of desire. Thank you, he says, his voice soft. You're welcome, I reply, my heart pounding. As I turn to leave, the prince places his hand on my arm. Wait, he says. I stop and look at him. There is something I want you to do for me, he says. Yes, sir, I reply, my heart racing. I want you to kiss me. Yes, sir, I reply. He moves closer to me, and I feel his lips brush against mine. The kiss is soft and sweet. Thank you, he says. You may go. I leave the room, my heart racing. I have just kissed the prince. I am summoned to the prince's chambers again. This time, the prince is in a robe, with a towel wrapped around his waist. His hair is damp, and his skin is flushed. I have been ordered to give you a bath, I say. Very well, the prince replies. I fill the tub with hot water and add a scented oil. The prince drops his robe, and I get a glimpse of his firm, muscular body. Please, sit, I say, indicating the chair near the tub. The prince sits down, and I begin washing his hair. My fingers massage his scalp, and I feel him relax. I pour the water over his head, rinsing away the soap. My hands move to his shoulders, and I begin to massage him. His skin is warm and smooth, and his muscles are strong. That feels good, the prince murmurs. My hands move lower, massaging his back. He moans softly, and I feel my arousal growing. Stand up, I say, and the prince complies. I rinse the soap from his body, and I cannot help but admire his firm, muscular form. He is beautiful, and my desire for him is growing. Turn around, I say, and the prince does as he is told. I begin washing his legs, my hands moving over his smooth skin. My hands move higher, and I feel his arousal. Please, the prince says, his voice strained. I want you to touch me. I cannot resist. I take his hardness in my hand and stroke him. The prince moans, and I feel his desire for me growing. Please, he says, his voice thick with need. I cannot resist. I take his hardness in my mouth, and he cries out with pleasure. I suck him, taking him deeper and deeper. Yes, the prince gasps. Yes, please. He takes my head in his hands, and his hips move in time with my movements. Yes, yes, he gasps. I feel his hardness swell in my mouth, and then he erupts, his seed spilling down my throat. Oh, God, he groans. Oh, God, yes. The prince is panting, his body trembling. That was amazing, he says, his voice ragged. It was my pleasure, I reply, my heart pounding. What is your name? He asks. I am called Gabriel, I reply. Gabriel, he says, his voice low and husky. I want you. I want you, too, I reply, my desire for him growing. Come, he says, taking my hand. He leads me to his bed, and we lie down, our bodies entwined. His lips find mine, and our tongues dance. I want you, he says, his hands sliding over my body. Yes, I reply, my desire for him consuming me. He kisses me, his hands roaming over my body. I feel his arousal pressed against me, and I cannot resist. Please, I say, my voice strained. Please, I want you inside me. Yes, he says, his voice a low growl. He reaches for the bottle of oil on the nightstand and pours some onto his fingers. He reaches down, his fingers teasing my opening. Yes, I gasp. He presses his fingers into me, stretching me. Oh, God, I moan, my desire for him building. Are you ready for me? He asks. Yes, I gasp. Please. He removes his fingers and positions himself between my legs. I am going to claim you, he says. I am going to make you mine. Yes, I reply. Please. He presses the head of his hardness against my opening, and I moan. He slides into me, his hardness filling me. Yes, I cry out. He begins to thrust, his hips moving in a slow, steady rhythm. Oh, God, he groans. He moves faster, his thrusts deeper. Yes, I cry out, my need for him overwhelming me. Come for me, he commands. His words send me over the edge, and I cry out as my climax washes over me. Yes, I cry out. He groans, his body shuddering as he finds his release. Oh, God, he gasps, his breathing ragged. He collapses on top of me, his body shaking. You are mine, he says, his voice a low growl. You belong to me. Yes, I reply, my breathless voice betraying the intensity of my feelings for him. Good, he says, his lips finding mine. We kiss, our bodies still entwined. I love you, he says. And I love you, I reply. We spend the rest of the evening in each other's arms, and the prince shows me what it is like to truly love someone. The days go by, and the prince and I grow closer. We spend our days together, and our nights are spent exploring each other's bodies. We are happy, and our love for each other grows stronger. Then, one day, the prince is called away on a diplomatic mission. He must travel to a distant kingdom to negotiate a trade agreement. I will be back soon, he tells me. And when I return, we will be married. I am ecstatic, and I vow to make the most of his absence. I spend my days working on my studies, and my nights dreaming of him. He returns after 2 months, and the night of our wedding is finally here. I stand in front of the mirror, my heart racing. My dress is a simple white gown, with a flowing train. My hair is done up in an elegant bun, and I am wearing a tiara that the prince gave me as a gift. I take a deep breath and smooth down the fabric. Are you ready? My mother asks. I am, I reply. We make our way to the chapel, and I see the prince standing at the altar. He is dressed in a dark suit, and his blonde hair is slicked back. He is handsome, and I feel my heart leap. You look beautiful, he says, his eyes full of love and admiration. Thank you, I reply, my voice a whisper. I love you, he says. And I love you, I reply. The ceremony is short and sweet, and we are pronounced husband and wife. The prince takes my hand, and we walk down the aisle. Let's get out of here, he whispers. We leave the chapel and make our way to the reception. It is a lavish affair, with hundreds of guests. There is food, music, and dancing. This is amazing, I say, looking around. I'm glad you're enjoying yourself, the prince says, smiling. How could I not? I reply. The hours go by, and the night is filled with laughter and celebration. The prince and I are finally married, and we could not be happier. As the sun begins to rise, the prince and I leave the reception and make our way to our honeymoon suite. I can't believe this is real, I say, as the prince opens the door. It is, he replies, his voice a low growl. The suite is beautiful, with a huge four-poster bed and an adjoining bathroom. Come, the prince says, taking my hand. He leads me to the bed, and we begin to undress each other. Our clothes fall to the floor, and our naked bodies are revealed. You are beautiful, the prince says, his eyes full of desire. And you are handsome, I reply. He pulls me close, his lips finding mine. Our tongues dance, and his hands move over my body. I need you, he growls, his voice thick with desire. Take me, I reply, my own need for him overwhelming. He lays me down on the bed, his body covering mine. Are you ready for me? He asks. Yes, I gasp, my body aching for him. He positions himself between my legs and enters me. I cry out, the feeling of him filling me sending shivers of pleasure through my body. Oh, God, I moan. He begins to move, his hips thrusting against me. Yes, I cry out, my need for him building. He moves faster, his hardness throbbing inside me. God, I cry out, my orgasm building. Come for me, he gasps. I can't hold back any longer, and my body explodes with pleasure. Oh, God, I cry out. My orgasm is intense, and I feel his hardness pulsing inside me as he reaches his own climax. Oh, fuck, he gasps, his body shaking with pleasure. He collapses on top of me, his breathing ragged. That was amazing, he says, his voice hoarse. It was, I reply, my voice a whisper. I love you, he says, kissing me. And I love you, I reply. We lay together, our bodies entwined. We are finally married, and we can't wait to start our new life together. As the days go by, we begin our new life together. The prince and I are happy, and we are planning to start a family. One day, the prince is called away on a diplomatic mission. I will be back soon, he tells me. And when I return, we will be able to start our family. I can't wait, I reply, my heart leaping. He leaves, and I miss him dearly. But I know that he will return soon, and we will finally be able to start our family. The weeks pass, and the prince still has not returned. I begin to worry. Where is he? Is he okay? I receive a letter from him, and I open it quickly. Dear wife, I am sorry to have been gone for so long. There were some issues with the negotiations, and I had to stay longer than I expected. I am on my way home now, and I can't wait to see you. My heart leaps, and I know that everything is going to be okay. I love you, I whisper, clutching the letter to my chest. The days pass, and I eagerly await the prince's return. One morning, I am awoken by the sound of shouting. The prince. He has returned. I quickly dress and rush outside. There, in the courtyard, is the prince. He is surrounded by guards and well-wishers. You're home, I say, my heart swelling. I am, he replies, his eyes locking on mine. He walks towards me, and we embrace. I missed you, he says, his voice soft. I missed you, too, I reply. He looks down at me, his eyes full of love and desire. We should go inside, he says. There is something I want to discuss with you. I follow him inside, and we make our way to his chambers. Sit down, he says, gesturing to a chair. I sit down, and he sits across from me. What is it? I ask, my heart pounding. When I was away, I was thinking about us. And about our future. And I realized that I can't wait any longer. What do you mean? I want to start our family now. Not later. Now. But we're not ready. We haven't planned anything. We can plan later. But I want to start our family. Right now. But, trust me, he says, his eyes searching mine. This is what I want. Okay, I reply, my heart bursting with love for him. He pulls me close and kisses me, his lips soft and warm against mine. Let's make a baby, he whispers. He lifts me up and carries me to the bed. I can't wait to start our family, he says, his eyes shining. Me, too, I reply, my heart overflowing with love for him. We make love, our bodies entwined. I never thought that I could be this happy. And as the prince and I begin our new life together, I know that we will have a long and happy future ahead of us. The prince and I have been married for a year, and we are happy. We have settled into our life together, and we are both enjoying our new roles. I have just finished up a meeting with my council, and I am heading to the dining hall for lunch. Hey, the prince says, coming up beside me. How was your meeting? It was good, I reply. We made some progress on the trade agreement. That's great, the prince says. He wraps his arm around my waist and pulls me close. I have a surprise for you, he says, his eyes sparkling. What is it? I ask. Come with me, he says, taking my hand. We head to our chambers, and the prince opens the door. Surprise. I walk inside, and I can't believe my eyes. There are flowers everywhere, and a giant cake on the table. What is this? I ask. It's our anniversary, the prince says, a smile on his face. I can't believe I forgot, I say, feeling terrible. It's okay, the prince says, pulling me into his arms. I just wanted to do something special for you. It's perfect, I say, kissing him. Come on, he says, leading me to the table. Let's eat. We sit down and enjoy the delicious meal. The cake is chocolate, my favorite. This is amazing, I say. Thank you. You're welcome, the prince says, smiling. The hours go by, and we enjoy each other's company. The prince is always thoughtful, and he is always surprising me with little things. I love you, I say, my heart overflowing. I love you, too, he says, his eyes shining. As the sun sets, we make our way to the balcony. We stand, watching the sky turn pink and orange. It's beautiful, I say. Not as beautiful as you, the prince says, his lips curling into a smile. I turn and look at him, my heart skipping a beat. He leans down and kisses me, his lips soft and warm. You're so handsome, I say, my voice a whisper. And you're so beautiful, he says, his eyes locking on mine. We kiss again, our tongues dancing. The passion between us is palpable, and we can't keep our hands off each other. Make love to me, I say, my voice strained with desire. I will, he replies, his voice a low growl. He lifts me up and carries me to the bed. We quickly undress, and our naked bodies are revealed. You're gorgeous, he says, his eyes roaming over me. So are you, I say, my heart pounding. He leans down and kisses me, his hands moving over my body. I moan, my desire for him growing. He lays me down on the bed and positions himself between my legs. He looks down at me, his eyes dark with desire. I love you, he says. I love you, too, I reply. He kisses me again, and I can feel his hardness pressing against me. Please, I say, my voice a desperate plea. I want to make love to you, he says. I want to make you mine. Then do it, I say, my heart racing. He kisses me again, and then he slides into me. I moan, the feeling of him filling me sending shivers of pleasure through my body. God, I say, my breath catching. He begins to move, his hips thrusting against me. Yes, I say, my voice a cry of ecstasy. He moves faster, his body pressed against mine. Oh, God, I say, my body trembling. Come for me, he says, his voice a command. I can't hold back any longer, and my climax overtakes me. Oh, God, I cry out, my voice shaking. My body shudders, and I cling to him. Yes, he says, his voice a low growl. He continues to move, and I can feel another orgasm building. Please, I beg. Please, give it to me. He moves faster, his body a blur. Yes, I cry out, my climax ripping through me. He groans, his body shuddering as he finds his release. God, he gasps, his breathing ragged. He collapses on top of me, his body spent. I love you, he says, his voice a whisper. I love you, too, I say, my heart overflowing with love for him. We lay in each other's arms, and I feel like the luckiest woman in the world. You're amazing, the prince says, looking down at me. So are you, I reply, smiling. We're lucky, he says, his hand stroking my cheek. We are, I agree, my heart bursting with happiness. The prince and I are happy, and we couldn't be more in love. Our kingdom is prosperous, and our people are thriving. The prince and I were meant to be together, and we will spend the rest of our lives showing the world how true love conquers all. Asterism. The prince and I are still madly in love with each other, and we are deliriously happy. We are still getting to know each other, and we are learning new things about one another every day. I am walking through the garden, enjoying the sunshine. Suddenly, the prince comes up behind me and wraps his arms around me. Hello, beautiful, he says, kissing my neck. Hello, handsome, I reply, leaning into his touch. Do you know what today is? He asks. Saturday. I reply, teasing him. It's our 1-month anniversary, he says, smiling. I have a surprise for you. What is it? It's a secret, he says, his eyes twinkling. I hate secrets, I pout. I promise you'll like this one, he says, kissing my pout away. Fine, I say, relenting. Meet me at the gazebo in the rose garden at sunset, he says, his voice low and seductive. I'll be there, I say, anticipation rising in my chest. The day passes by slowly, and I find myself unable to focus on anything but the surprise the prince has in store for me. Finally, the sun begins to set, and I make my way to the rose garden. I see the prince waiting for me at the gazebo, a small picnic basket beside him. There you are, he says, smiling. What's all this? It's a surprise, he says, pulling me into his arms and kissing me deeply. You're so naughty, I tease. You have no idea, he replies, his voice a low growl. Is that a promise? You'll just have to wait and see, he says, winking. He leads me to the gazebo and spreads a blanket out on the floor. He sits down and pulls me into his lap. I have another surprise for you, he says, pulling out a small box. What is it? Open it and see, he says, handing me the box. I open it and gasp. Inside is a beautiful silver bracelet with a diamond-encrusted heart-shaped locket. It's beautiful, I say, my heart hammering in my chest. Like you, he says, his voice a whisper. Thank you, I say, leaning in to kiss him. The kiss quickly becomes heated, and the prince and I are soon lost in a passionate embrace. I want you, he growls, his voice thick with desire. Then take me, I say, my need for him matching his own. He lays me down on the blanket and begins to undress me. His eyes roam over my naked body, and I can see the hunger in his gaze. You're perfect, he says, his voice reverent. He quickly removes his own clothing, and I gasp at the sight of his impressive manhood. Do you like what you see? He asks, a cocky smile on his lips. Very much, I reply, my voice a whisper. He lays down on top of me, and I can feel his hardness pressing against me. I want you, I say, my need for him overtaking all else. Then have me, he replies, his eyes locked on mine. He enters me, and I cry out in pleasure. He begins to move, his hips thrusting against me. Oh, God, I cry out, the sensation of him inside me almost overwhelming. You feel so good, he growls, his voice hoarse with desire. So do you, I moan, my body consumed with pleasure. We move together, our bodies in sync. The prince and I are lost in a world of our own, our passion for each other reaching new heights. Come for me, he commands, his voice strained. I can't hold back any longer, and I come, my body shuddering with pleasure. Yes, he cries out, his body tensing as he finds his release. He collapses on top of me, and we lay together, our breathing ragged. That was amazing, I say, my voice a whisper. Yes, it was, he replies, his eyes meeting mine. I love you, he says, his voice filled with emotion. I love you, too, I say, my heart full. We spend the rest of the night making love, and I know that I will never forget this special night. The prince and I are still together, and our love is stronger than ever. We are still learning new things about each other, and we are both enjoying our life together. One morning, the prince and I are walking in the garden. Did you have a good sleep? I ask. I did, he replies. Did you? Yes, I answer. I had a very interesting dream. Tell me about it, the prince urges. Well, in the dream, we had a baby, I explain. A baby? Yes, I confirm. A beautiful little boy. I think that would be wonderful, the prince says, a smile spreading across his face. You do? Absolutely, he replies. I would love to have a family with you. Oh, my prince, I exclaim, wrapping my arms around his neck. I would love that, too. The prince and I return to the castle, and I can't stop thinking about the baby we will have one day.